Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is one of a few videos for I Live Again 1. Thank you so much, man. You've been very generous. I really appreciate it. And of these videos, two of them are comparison videos, and one of them is Age of Ultron, the Avengers Part 2, versus Justice League, either cut. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, comparisons, reviews, topics, commentaries, video game stuff, re-reviews, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal, usually the best bet, or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, long story short, I think Age of Ultron is better, way better, than either cut of Justice League. Age of Ultron, I know a lot of people don't like the film. It gets hated on. It's called the worst Avengers movie. I highly disagree. This is back when I actually gave a crap about the new era of superhero movies, because I liked The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. I liked Iron Man. I liked the Captain America trilogy. The first Avengers I thought was just okay. This I thought was a big improvement in terms of pacing, in terms of action, in terms of villain. I know a lot of people get mad at Ultron as a villain. I quite liked him because I'm a big James Spader fan, and I liked his personality, I liked his attitude, I liked the lines of dialogue they gave him. Could he have been a more of a dangerous threat? I agree with that. But overall, I still really liked him and actually think he's one of the better villains that Marvel has, which Marvel isn't usually that great with villains anyway, and I definitely like him more in terms of personality and acting moments than Thanos. Yes, Thanos is more dangerous because he killed half the universe with the snap, but I thought Thanos' personality was just boring as shit to me. Ultron, on the other hand, I thought James Spader did a wonderful job. But anyway, Age of Ultron I always thought was underrated. I think, in my opinion, it's the best Avengers film. I think it's the most underrated Avengers film. It's definitely one of the most underrated Marvel films of that era. I find out so many people give that movie crap, but then, some of the movies today, you get a pass. I just don't get it. Don't get it. But when I compare this with Justice League, and either cut, I mean, with theatrical, with the CGI, mustache removal, and all that jazz, or the 50-hour uncut Zack Snyder version, I think Age of Ultron is better paced. I think it's better acted. I think because you've had this proper build-up of a lot of these characters, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, that the characters gel together better. I think the effects, there's a lot more practical action utilized within CGI moments, while Justice League feels much more of a CGI cartoon, especially in its third act. And like when I watched Age of Ultron again, I think there's some good lines of dialogue. I think there's some good moments between Captain America and Iron Man. Hey, everyone, every time someone tries to end a war early, try to end a war before it starts, innocent people die. And Cap has a good point, because this is Iron Man's fuck up. Ultron as a villain, the way he kind of has a little bit of Robert Downey Jr. personality, so the way he goes, or the way he fucks with them verbally, I can't physically throw up in my mouth, but, or when he's talking about, I'll give humans a chance, but, that whole thing of God throwing the stone, well, believe me, he's winding up. I liked watching the villain. Yes, I will agree, it would have been nice to feel even much more of a dangerous threat. Because when you watch it, it's like, okay, you never really think that the Avengers could lose. So maybe if there's even more of a dangerous glint, as well as that fun personality of humor that just made him a lot more easy to watch and interesting than bland and boring, I think it could have been even better. But overall, like when I compare the two, like Justice League, You had what? One Wonder Woman movie, you had one Aquaman movie, you introduced the Flash, you introduced Cyborg. It's only the second one with Batman, and he didn't even have a solo movie at that point. Superman's dead, and then he comes back, and then he doesn't remember he's Superman until the end of the film. It just felt like a strange way to introduce all the characters in such a seemingly rushed fashion. Some of these not having much of a proper build up. Which I know is hypocritical because on the flip side, you watch Zack Snyder's version, it just drags. It feels like it lasts for an infinity with that running time. And whether you want to talk about Steppenwolf or Darkseid, they just seem like... I'm not saying that's how they are in the comics. In the movies, they were just bland, boring, in one ear, out the other villains. I can't remember one piece of momentum, character, dialogue from either of those villains in either version of Justice League. I was never annoyed by any of the characters in Age of Ultron. I was annoyed by the Flash. I did not like Ezra Miller before we found out how much of a piece of crap person he was. And before his crappy film came out. I still never liked Ezra Miller. He was... the way the personality in the film was portrayed. The Flash should be a humorous character. He has been in comics and animation. I get that. But the way it was portrayed in the movies, either version, felt like a poor man's Peter Parker. I think that's what they were going for, because they saw the success of films like Spider-Man Homecoming and the sequel. So they said, let's follow that formula. Let's have a Flash. Again, that's a wannabe Peter Parker. I think they wanted Ben Affleck's Batman to be the Tony Stark Iron Man to the Flash's Peter Parker. But then they didn't fully pull the trigger on that one. So they tried to do a bit about in the Flash movie. Sorry about that edit, had to do some real quick, but I was talking about the action. When you look at the action in Age of Ultron, I think there's some of the better ones in the recent era of Marvel from 2008 to now. So like the opening action sequence alone is pretty damn satisfying. Where they're going up to this headquarters and they're in the woods and the team, every part of the team gets their moment to shine. From Captain America riding a motorcycle and throwing the shield, to Iron Man flying around doing his thing, to Hulk smashing, to Hawkeye getting some time to shine. Everybody, working together, and this definitely has a good teamwork effort throughout it. The team works well, and the camaraderie and the acting, despite what people feel about Joss Whedon as a person, he did know how to make ensembles work together. Whether it be Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show, whether it be Firefly, and then the movie Serenity, and I think even more so in this one now that they're been a team in the first movie, they're more comfortable together. I mean, the scene when they're bonding, where they're trying to lift Thor's hammer, that's a scene of humor that works well, but it doesn't disrespect the characters. And the brief bit where Captain America looks like he's ready to lift it, the brief bit of fear on Thor's face, but it's still in character. It's not a fucking fat wannabe Big Lebowski. Or the fat wannabe the dude from Big Lebowski, I should say, in the other Avengers movies. Where they push the humor a bit too far, the Hulk offering breakfast tacos. To me, this film still had enough seriousness. Again, those other films seem like they're more serious, but then the humor is just too, I don't know. There's always a balance with things. And the finale, when they're trying to save people and they're getting people out of the city, it felt like it was a bit more real location work being used and utilized. Early in the film, when Captain America's chasing Ultron, and there's a bit where Captain America flips and they both tumble right into this bus. Some pretty good practical work mixed in there. At least a little like a bus. I can't remember his train, bus. Dude, my memory's faulting. I'm getting older. The actual secrets of the Justice League, really, you don't have as much as you think. You have Wonder Woman killing all the people, which is funny when you watch Zack Snyder's version. She kills all the people, including throwing a guy whose fucking brains are splattered on the wall, just literally blood on the wall. And then she turns to look at the girl. The girl's like, "I want to be just like you." And then she's like, "Someday you will be." While in the background, there's a fucking splattering of blood on the wall from a guy whose brain got smashed into the fucking wall. That's Zack Snyder for you. I'm like, dude, there's blood right there, right there on the wall. You know, the guy deserted, he's a piece of shit, but still, there's a little girl. It's like, uh, okay, like if it's meant to be like dark humor, then that could have been funny and clever, but that wasn't its intention, and that's what makes it even more mind blowing and mind numbing to me. I do think Joss Whedon is a better director compared to Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder may go more for visuals, but I think Joss Whedon is better in terms of character. And even visuals, like you said, Justice League feels even much more of a CGI overdose. The whole finale, everything looks like CGI. Not just the parademons, just the Ultron robots are CGI, but all the background. Everything in the background looks CGI. The sky, the floor, this, that, everything. It looks like a giant video game cutscene. I don't feel that way with Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron has a lot more characters to deal with. I think it does the best that it can. While again in Justice League, it's like, okay, depending on which cut you look at, Batman doesn't feel like the Batman he was in Batman v Superman. Ben Affleck seems like he has less to do. Okay, like I said, Superman's out of the picture for most of it. Aquaman, I don't give a shit about these characters. I think that helps as well. That I actually cared about the characters in Age of Ultron. I actually liked Jeremy Renner and Hawkeye. I actually liked Chris Evans as Captain America. I think his three films are some of the best of that Marvel bit of business. I liked Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. He's charismatic, even though his character's fucking up. But they admit that he fucked up. It's not like, "Oh, I didn't fuck up." No, you did. And I thought they did a better job introducing characters like Vision. Like they introduced Vision, they gave him a sense of prominence and importance, which is even more sad because later on, that character's just been completely useless, and they just completely fucked up that character in the terms of not using him properly. Like in this one, you feel like Vision is going to be such an important character, such a prominent persona in this Marvel future, and he hasn't been. He was there to die and to get his gem taken as a plot point. And then to be on a stupid wannabe at first sitcom, but then other show WandaVision, and then disappear. Especially in, when Star Witch is killing people, you think Vision would be there. Like, wouldn't that make sense? Vision and Doctor Strange working together to deal with Scarlet Witch in the multiverse? I would think so, but hey, what do I know? But anyway, in this, I think the Flash still comes off as annoying, irritating, unlikable, terrible jokes. Cyborg, there's more development of him in the longer cut. I still don't care about the character. There's nothing about the character that interests me, and I'm not a big fan of the way he looks. I always remember this funny scene, well, it's funny to me, in the longer cut where he messes up at ATM and gives his family money. I'm sitting there going, well, their information's in there. and now they don't know where this money went to, so they don't probably come for the family and be like, "You don't give us the money back, otherwise, did you steal it? You probably scammed us, right? You did something to hijack to steal this money. You're gonna go to jail." But the movie's too dumb to think about that. So yeah, I looked at Justice League. I think the villain is boring. I think the action is way too overload of CGI, not the greatest looking CGI. I think the way the characters work, I don't think they have much chemistry with each other. The people in Justice League, I just don't. Your big prominent character Superman in is not in 80% of the movie because you kill him off in the last one. The actresses don't seem as prominent. Well, you have them fighting Superman. You have the finale of the film. You have the bit where Aquaman, it's stopping the water and blah blah blah. It's kind of Aquaman's introduction to the movie. Those action scenes just did nothing for me. I didn't feel invigorated. Didn't feel excited. When I looked at Age of Ultron, there's that great shot when all of them are working together and the camera spins in a circle and they're all fighting these robots. It's like a comic book panel come to life. Yeah, they're getting their poses, but like Captain America's slamming his shield down and the Hulk is raging and all this stuff, and you're doing this circle as they're all kicking ass, working as a team, working together. I'm like, that's the Avengers. That's a scene that you go, oh, that's a comic book brought to life. That scene. Purely comic book brought to life. And it was fun to see. There's not one scene in Justice League that I really felt, especially them as a team. At least to me. And even like the banter between the characters in Age of Ultron. Like Hawkeye. The stuff they do with Hawkeye was really cool, where he feels a bit more important than he did in the last one. And him bringing the Avengers to his family home, and his scenes with him and his wife, and you see this down-to-earth guy who has a job to do and wants to protect his family. Jeremy Renner and I forget the actress's name. She was a Linda Cardellini, I believe. They did a wonderful job, and that was more heart, those little bits, than what I saw with any of the characters in Justice League. Maybe they try to do it between Batman and Wonder Woman, try to, but that's not Zack Snyder's forte. It's just not. And that's another thing with Age of Ultron. Like, I get that people don't like the film, but sometimes they come up with stuff that's not true in terms of flaws. Like, there's this thing, going off tangent, that when Captain America's fighting Ultron, and this is like not the third act, but before it, and like, what? How come at one point Captain America has this arrow in him, but it's like a ghost arrow because the very next shot is gone. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I'm watching the film, and I'm sitting there going, oh my god, you people, man. If you don't like the film, that's fine. But folks who complain about that, it's a light pole. Because there's light poles going over the bus or wherever they're on top. It's a light pole. There's a bunch of light poles, and so when he turns, a light pole went by. So a light pole went by, so it made it seem like, but that's what it was. It wasn't an arrow. It was literally a light pole going by. I'm like, again, if you don't like the film, it's fine, but don't make up shit that's not there. And I mean, I'm sorry I'm not going into more detail, because Justice League, to be honest, I wiped a lot of that out of my brain. Like the neuralizer from Men in Black. both the theatrical cut and the 4 hour Justice League cut, which was extraneous and had like 18 fucking endings. Man, that cut literally has like 4 endings. There's this ending, and then there's just plenty of Martian Manhunter, just because, and then there's a future, which there's future Batman and Hawk Girl, whatever the fuck else was there, and the Joker was there, and I'm talking about the extended cut. Because Joker's going to do a whole lot to help fight. He's going to show like a little, I don't know, trick playing cards, whatever the hell. And that's the thing, like, you watch it, like, people talk about how Age of Ultron, oh, they bring up stuff for the future. It still felt more easily incorporated, like Wanda and Quicksilver, then let's have an out of blue scene with this nightmare future that is only there for future movies that never happened anyway. So, especially if you watch it now, it's like, okay, I'm glad this. No, I'm not glad this scene's in it, because cut it out, because it'd be a faster paced picture and nothing really comes of it. It's like that fucking scene with the Flash. I forget if it was this or Batman v Superman. I think it was Batman v Superman. Yeah. Never mind. It's the film before it. Am I too soon? Yeah, I think I'm too soon. Wait. That's something about Lois Lane, and nothing ever came of that. Because they fucked up with the film so badly that it went in the toilet, and now James Gunn's rebooting everything. Batman v Superman Justice League helped kill the fucking DC universe. Age of Ultron didn't do that. So that's another thing. So at the end of Age of Ultron, I have a villain that was more fun to watch. I think James Spader knocked out of the park. I have a group of characters that seem like they interacted more comfortably with each other. Again, the scene when they're trying to lift Thor's hammer is very good scene in terms of showing how these people actually like each other, how they feel like a family at that point together. And it seems like something they would do. It didn't feel corny or cheesy. Again, the characters are used well, from Captain America to Iron Man to all these other folks. The action is a lot more practical than you would expect. There's a nice balance between CG and practical. There's no characters that I disliked in the film. Justice League, Cyborg to me wasn't that interesting. The Flash was fucking annoying. I never liked Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman or Jason Momoa's Aquaman, and they only had one film at this point with each other. Each one had just had one film at that point. I should try and remember, was Aquaman before or after Justice League? Now I'm trying to remember. Or did Aquaman come out after? Because I know Justice League was 2017, but was Aquaman after this? So maybe Aquaman hadn't had it. See, that's how little I remember. I don't remember when the hell Aquaman came out. Maybe Aquaman came out after it. I can't remember. I sincerely cannot fucking remember. Maybe it came out. I don't care. I don't care. Yeah, I think Age of Ultron is a lot better. I don't know how else to put it. So thanks for watching. Take care. I know I gotta edit this stuff together. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.